He stared at her across the dimly lit dining room, the weight of her words echoing louder than any scream could. "You're just temporary," she had whispered. "I'll go back to Mark when he's ready." 8 seconds, that's all it took for his world to shatter. But in that moment, he made a decision. He would show her he wasn't a placeholder. He would prove she had never truly known love before. The kind of love that stays when convenient, and especially when it's not. She watched him quietly, expecting him to turn away, to leave. After all, she had already decided his role. Fuel until Mark returned. But she didn't see the fire behind his calm eyes. A fire that would burn all doubts to ash. He reached across the table and placed his hand over hers. No drama. No rage. Just unwavering certainty. She froze. Her heart skipped. Was this the end, or the beginning? In that moment, something awakened in her, a tremor of fear and a spark of hope. Because what he did next would rewrite their fate. He pulled out a small, battered envelope from his coat. She tensed. "What is that?" she asked, voice fragile. He said nothing, just slid it across the table. She opened it with trembling fingers. Inside was a letter, handwritten, told in memories they had never spoken out loud. He began to read it. Not to her, for her. Words from the heart, piecing together moments she thought were trivial. The way she tucked her hair behind her ears when she was nervous, how she hummed in the shower, how her laughter was the sunrise after his midnight. Tears welled in her eyes. She recognized herself in those lines. She remembered the man who listened when no one did. She recognized the bond they'd built in quiet moments. He didn't mention Mark once. He spoke of today, of what they had, of what he believed they could become. She couldn't look away. She couldn't still the pulse in her veins. When he finished, he folded the letter gently. He looked up. "I'm not temporary," he said. "I'm here. If you'll have me." Her voice caught. The walls she built around her heart trembled. Days passed like soft footprints in fresh snow. The tension hung in the air. She had declared him temporary. She had drawn the map back to Mark. But now she questioned the route. He didn't press. He didn't chase. He simply stayed. He showed up at sunrises. He texted when she fell asleep. He listened, not just to words, but to silences. He held her when her tears came uninvited. She tried to maintain distance. She tried to maintain control. But with every gesture, every kindness, every unwavering presence, he chipped away at her defenses. One evening, she found him on the roof, looking at the city lights. She joined him without a word. He didn't flinch. They sat in silence. She rested her head on his shoulder. A simple moment, but one she never allowed before. He whispered, "Stay." She closed her eyes. She felt the sincerity in that single word. The day Mark returned, the world shifted. She stood at the threshold, heart pounding. Mark's car pulled up. She felt a familiar knot of panic. But she also felt something new, a steel in her spine. She watched Mark step out, confident, smiling. Her knees wanted to buckle. But she caught his gaze. And then she caught her own. Mark approached. He greeted her. He turned to the man who had waited, who had loved. Mark's smile flickered. He looked at him anew, not a rival, but a man who had claimed something Mark had left behind. Mark tried to reach for her hand. She didn't move. He tried words. She didn't speak. He tried the old comfort. She didn't look away. In that silence, the power shifted. Mark said, "I'm back. I want us to pick up where we left." She took a breath. She looked at him, then at the man who remained. She said, "You left once. You walked away when things got hard." He didn't. Mark's face tightened. He looked at her. She turned to him. To the man she once declared temporary, she reached out. "Stay with me, not because Mark left or returned, but because I choose you now." His eyes blurred, but he nodded. She took his hand. Mark stood silent, stunned by the transformation. They walked inside together. Mark lingered at the doorway, torn. The man he expected to reclaim was gone. Instead sat someone new, someone stronger. Mark tried to talk sense. She held her ground. She said, "I was fearful once. I was waiting. But someone taught me that waiting for someone else was letting life pass me by." Mark's jaw clenched. He turned, left without another word. The man she once called temporary led her to the window. They watched the tail lights fade. She whispered, "So you aren't temporary." He took her face gently. "Never." They rebuilt their world. Not on promises. Not on speeches. On moments. On trust. On presence. He listened when she spoke. He held her when she cried. He laughed with her when joy came. He stayed when storms arrived. She fell in love again, not with the idea, but with the man before her. One night, he surprised her with a scrapbook, memories of their time together, photos, mementos, ticket stubs, scribbled notes. She flipped through, tears and smiles mingling. At the end, he handed her a new page, blank. He said, "Let's write what comes next, together." She nodded, heart full, but shadows of doubt crept in. What if Mark tried again? What if she faltered? He sensed her fear. He said, "You have a choice every day. Choose me. Not because of what was left behind, but what stands before you." She wavered. He held her. He whispered, "I'll stay." She believed him. Mark's attempts came, calls, messages, regrets. But she ignored them. Or replied once, apologetically. But she didn't waver. Her loyalty shifted. Not out of spite, but out of clarity. She had been waiting for someone absent. Now she had someone present. Time passed. They faced challenges, money, family, doubts. But they faced them together. She would catch him staring at her sometimes, as though still in awe she chose him. He would squeeze her hand, remind her, "You didn't pick me out of fear. You chose this." She asked one day, "Are you afraid I'll change my mind?" He said, "Not if I keep showing you why you stayed." They watched sunsets, talked through darkness, built dreams. She spoke into his ear, "Thank you for staying when everyone expected you to leave." He whispered, "Thank you for recognizing me now." In the final scene, she's with him at the window. He holds her from behind. She looks out. She remembers the word she said, temporary. And now she knows there's no going back. She turns. Their eyes meet. He kisses her forehead. She smiles. He says, "This is forever." She whispers, "Yes." And in that silence, they begin anew, no placeholders, no waiting. Only presence. Only two hearts choosing each other, day after day. He stared at her across the dimly lit dining room, the weight of her words echoing louder than any scream. "You're just temporary," she had whispered. "I'll leave you when Mark returns." 8 seconds. That's all it took for his world to break. But instead of anger, he felt a strange calm spread through his chest. He looked at her, really looked, at the woman he thought he knew. And in that moment, he decided something powerful. He would not beg. He would not chase. He would not crumble. If she saw him as temporary, he would show her what permanence looked like. Not with words, but with actions. The room fell silent. She waited for him to argue, to plead, to explode. But he didn't. He simply reached across the table, placed his hand gently over hers, and said quietly, "Thank you, for being honest." Her eyes widened. She didn't expect calm. She expected chaos.